So last video, you'll remember that we looked at the time value of money. Things get more expensive with time, or money becomes worth less with time. And I spoke briefly about the idea that if you put your money in a bank account, you should expect to receive more money from the bank at a time in the future. That's because money becomes worth less with time. So if you give them $1,000 today, you should expect them to give you $1,050 a year from now, or 2 years from now, whatever it might be. We're going to work out exactly how much they should give you back over time. Now let's take a look at this question here. Just hold up. Okay, so the question says, calculate the amount of simple interest I earned and the total amount A at the end of the term if $12,000 is invested for 5 years at 9.5% per annum. Okay, now first of all, I really want you to understand what's happening here. There's a guy, this guy here, and he goes to a bank. Here's our bank, like that. Okay, and he puts $12,000 into the bank account. He physically takes $12,000 and gives it to them. Now, it's going to stay in there for 5 years. So in 5 years, he's going to come back and he's going to take that money out, but not for 5 years. And the bank has agreed that if he puts that money in there for 5 years, they will pay them 9.5% per annum. Now, don't forget, per annum means per year. So they're going to pay him 9.5% of the original amount, which is $12,000 per year for 5 years. Pretty straightforward. And I know that you've seen this stuff before. Now, first of all, we're going to need our simple interest formula. You may have seen simple interest formulas that are slightly different to this in the past. I'm going to use this one. I equals P R T. Interest equals principal times the rate times the time. That's rate, interest rate, and that's time in years. Now let's look at this question. 12,000. Now we know that 12,000 is the principal. It's the money we started with. So P equals 12,000. We know that the rate is 9.5%. But with my formula, you can't write it as a percent. You have to write it as a decimal. And remember that 9.5% is equal to, you move the decimal place 2 places, it's going to be equal to 0.095. 0.095. And the amount of time it's been in the bank, it's been in there for 5 years. Oops. So T, that's 5 years. And we can put all of that into our formula. Let's try that. I equals PRT equals 12,000 times 0.095 times 5. Put that all into your calculator and you'll get an answer. Okay, and you can see on my calculator there, the answer is 5,700. Now that's the amount of interest. Now I'm just going to write that so you can see that what I'm talking about. That's interest equals 5,700. Now the question asks us 2 things. How much interest was earned? Good, we just found I, 5,700. And then they ask us what's the total amount at the end of the term. Now the total amount, which we call A, is going to be equal to the money we started with, 12,000, that's P, plus the interest that was earned, I. So there's our 2 formulas that you really need to have. I equals PRT and A equals P plus I. So just really think about this. You put $12,000 into a bank. You left it there for 5 years. Over the 5 years, it earns $5,700 in interest. So what's the total amount that you'll have in the end? You guys can work this out in your head. The total amount will be the principal plus the interest earned, which is 12,000 plus the interest, which is 5,700, which is 17,700. So you started with $12,000, put $12,000 in the bank. At the end of that time, you've earned $5,700 in interest, so the bank at the end of 5 years gives you $17,700. You've made a little bit of money. You can go and buy some stuff. Okay, that's the simple interest equation. In the next video, we're going to cover this slightly more complicated question, but it's only slightly more complicated, and then we'll move on from there. All right, that's the simple interest equation.